Napoleon was lucky that he was not killed, but instead he was Britain, Russia, Austria, and Prussia. Napoleon was born in the year 1769 at Ajaccio on the island of Corsica. From a peasantry background, Napoleon was born in the year 1769 at Ajaccio on the island of Corsica. He rose to power in 1799 after overthrowing the Directory government in the famous coup d'etat of Bourmaya, and he was able to administer France up to 1814, when he was overthrown by the Fourth Coalition of Britain, Austria, Prussia, and Russia, to be replaced by the restored Bourbonese monarchy under the leadership of King Louis XVIII. Napoleon was born to Carlo Bonaparte and Letizia Ramarino Bonaparte, who were initially Italians. But because Corsica Island had been annexed by France in 1768, a year before Napoleon's birth, Napoleon was therefore born a Frenchman, not an Italian. Therefore, he was able and had all the abilities to participate in the political, social, and economic setup of the country France. He was born in the family of 13 children, 8 of whom died in infancy, and Napoleon was among the only lucky 5 children who survived death at infancy. His father, despite being a total peasant, used to behave like a middle-class man, used to move with the neighbors every time, used to move with the clergies, befriending them, an act that enabled him to secure his son Napoleon vacancies in military academies of Brienne and Paris, which were initially not admitting peasants. What does that mean? It means that it was only Napoleon, a peasant, that attained education in such wonderful institutions. He later graduated as an artillery officer, and he was admitted to serve the French Revolutionary Army. In 1792, Napoleon was dismissed from the army following his delay in the holiday leave. But during the same period, France experienced a lot of loss of lives of the soldiers due to the Franco-European wars, and others had been victims of the reign of terror. So that scarcity of soldiers made the leaders of the convention government to again recall Napoleon to serve in the army. So Napoleon was recalled back in 1793. So between 1792 and 94, Napoleon was a member of the Jacobins Club of Maximilien Robespierre, and he was a close friend. And it is believed that it was Robespierre that taught Napoleon the art, spirit, and the desire to acquire power. And it should be remembered that in 1794, when Robespierre was being captured, Napoleon was among the 70 members who were captured with him. Napoleon was lucky that he was not killed, but instead he was arrested. So due to his military geniusity, the Directory government ended up releasing Napoleon from the jail and made him commander of the forces of the interior. Therefore, he again served in the government. So in between that period, 1792 to 95, Napoleon achieved great success in suppressing the internal revolts. Take an example. In 1793, Napoleon successfully defeated or suppressed the Toulon uprising, or the royalist uprising at Toulon, which had been sponsored by England. And with that success, Napoleon was promoted to the rank of a brigadier general. Again in 1795, Napoleon helped to save the Directorial government from the riots of the Jacobins and Royalists. When he dispersed these rioters by firing bullets in the air in an incident that came to be known as the whiff of grape shot. That success made Napoleon to again be raised to the rank of a general. In 1796, Napoleon married a very beautiful Josephine de Beauharnais, a daughter of Prince Paul Barras. And in the same year, he was sent for the Italian campaign. In the Italian campaign, Napoleon successfully defeated Austria and forced Austria to sign the peace treaty of Campo Formio. And under that treaty, Austria surrendered the war to France and even surrendered all the Italian states, which means by then the Italian states had gone in the hands of France. What an achievement. In 1789, again, Napoleon was sent by the Directorial government for the Egyptian campaign with an aim of paralyzing the British trade there, because Britain's economy and the trade with those countries had been the basis of Britain fighting and defeating France in all battles. So France was looking for only a chance to weaken Britain economically so that France could defeat Britain in the future or at the later stages. Napoleon went for the Egyptian campaign and at first defeated and chased the British soldiers at the island of Malta, entered Egypt, defeated the Mamelukes, and when he was coming back, he was ambushed by the British forces and was severely defeated by the British army commanded by Admiral Nelson, and by then Napoleon was captured, made a prisoner of war in Egypt. He later escaped from the prison, went back to France, connived with some members of the Directorial government. Take an example of Lucien Bonaparte and Abbé Sieyès, to organize a successful coup d'etat of Bourmaya, which made Napoleon to rise to power as the leader of France. Thank you for listening.